Thank you for coming. I'm Liz Hoddle, Deputy Director of Events at Politics and Prose Bookstore. I'd like to begin by thanking Sixth and I. Ours is a cherished cultural partnership, and we are in the throes of another dynamic season of events together. Please check out our website for more information. We also host events in our bookstore on Connecticut Avenue, and almost every night of the year, we offer a wide range of cultural trips, literary classes, and book clubs. Please stop by and visit us. But tonight at Sixth and I, we have the honor of welcoming Leon Panetta. Mr. Panetta has a long and storied career as a public servant. In 1976, he was elected to the U.S. Congress, where he represented California's 16th Congressional District for 16 years. He acted as President Clinton's Director of the United States Office of Management and Budget, and then as his Chief of Staff from 1994 to 1997. He founded the Leon and Sylvia Panetta Institute for Public Policy, and in 2009, he became the Director of the Central Intelligence Agency. From 2011 to 2013, he served as the 23rd United States Secretary of Defense under President Obama. Tonight, Mr. Panetta comes to us with a new memoir, Worthy Fights. In it, he examines his life and political legacy with a focus on his time as Secretary of Defense. His unwavering sense of morality and belief in the exhausting work of public service radiates off every page. As David Ignatius writes in the Washington Post, Panetta comes across in this book as a man who has never shirked a fight he thought was right. Tonight, he will be in conversation with Mike Allen, Chief White House Correspondent for Politico, and the man behind Politico's playbook. Mike is, as the New York Times famously pegged him, the man the White House wakes up to. He's written for publications including Time, the Washington Post, and the New York Times. As Bob Woodward declared, "You don't have to do anything else, just read Mike Allen." They will be in what promises to be a very lively conversation for roughly 40 minutes, after which we'll invite you to join in with questions. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Leon Panetta and Mike Allen.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. Welcome to all of you out in live stream land. Welcome to all of you who are here. Somebody pointed out to me that this is more expensive than HBO on demand, so we'll try and make that worthwhile. Mr. Secretary, before we start here, a special family in the front row, do you want to say hello to the Bash family?
I'd love to say hello to my rabbi, Jeremy Bash, who is my Chief of Staff, and his lovely wife, Robin. And Jeremy's parents are here as well, and I thank you for coming.
We want to thank Politics and Prose and Sixth and I, this amazing setting. We appreciate it. Welcome to all of you in the balcony as well. We appreciate it as we kick off. Mr. Secretary, you've been out for a week now talking about worthy fights. You've got another week to go. You're about to head to California. Earlier today, did you get tougher questions from the readers at GW or at Costco?
Costco was kind of tough. Yeah, it was, because people are shopping big. They're shopping for big things there, and they want, they want you to deliver the best product you can. And I told them, read the book.
It's pretty big. So, Mr. Secretary, as we heard in the introduction, you've worked in city government, federal government, you've been a Republican, you've been a Democrat, you're a lawyer, you've been an Army intel officer, you've been the DCIA, you've been legislative assistant, special assistant, executive assistant, which in Washington is sort of our trinity, director of the U.S. Office of Special Rights, congressman, House Budget Chair, White House Budget Director, White House Chief of Staff, SecDef. So what is left on your bucket list?
Well, I'm waiting for the Pope's position to open up. I enjoy being back home in Carmel Valley. As I said, I have a walnut ranch out there, and it's nice to be home working with a different set of nuts. So I'm enjoying that.
Fair enough. Now, almost all of your life experiences and your positions are enviable. but you've done one thing that I'm not sure everyone here would be jealous of. You've been roommates with Senator Schumer.
Yeah, we were all kind of bachelors back here, and that our wives were back in the district, and we came back to Washington, and we were all kind of living separately. And George Miller had a house up on the hill, and George Miller eventually, we were all friends. We'd go out to dinner, and he finally said, "Why don't we all kind of stay together?" So we all moved into George Miller's house, and it was 4 congressmen, myself, George Miller, of course, our landlord, Chuck Schumer, and a guy named Marty Russo from Illinois. And Chuck Schumer and I were on the bottom floor, and he slept on the couch, and I had a bed that I moved into one corner of the room downstairs. This was truly Animal House, okay? This was really Animal House. And Chuck was the kind of person, I mean, Chuck would munch on anything. You know, and my son every once in a while would come back and stay with me, and he would buy cereal, you know, because we didn't have any cereal there. We didn't have any food. We most of the time ate out. And so he would buy cereal for himself. And Schumer, before he'd go to bed, would eat the damn cereal. And my son would always wake up and say, "What the hell happened to my cereal?" I said, "I'm sorry, that's Schumer took care of that."
It's an early Washington lesson. Now, Mr. Secretary, you've lived the most amazing life, and for those of us here in Washington, there's so many aspects of it to learn from and to feast on in Worthy Fights. You go back to the beginning. You talk about when you were running for Congress, which wasn't even near the beginning for you, but you were talking about running for Congress, and you talk about Tip O'Neill, who later was your speaker, came out to campaign for you, and it didn't go so well.
Well, no, Tip came out, and it was wonderful to have him. You know, big Irishman from Boston came out, and we did a fundraiser with Democrats, and Tip went up there, and he said, you know, I want you to do everything possible to work for Leo Panetta.
My good friend Leo.
My good friend Leo Panetta. And he said it several times. And fortunately, most of the crowd kind of took it in stride because, you know, he was enjoying himself. You know, he had a few scotches, and he was in good shape. And everybody enjoyed the evening. But from then on, when I did get elected and I went to Congress, there was another congressman whose name was Norm Panetta. Now, he was Japanese American. And Tip would constantly wind up calling me Norm and called Panetta Leon. And the real problem was the Carter White House screwed it up as well. The Carter White House, when the Italian Prime Minister came to town, they invited Norm Panetta to the White House. And when the Japanese Prime Minister came to town, they invited me. And finally, Norm and I put a baseball team together, and we said we played under the sign of the Rising Pizza, which was our team.
Now, one thing that we see in this book, Mr. Secretary, is wheeling and dealing with Congress. We see you helping win passage for President Clinton's crime bill. We saw in Speaker O'Neill a very effective speaker. What is it that he did and that you did then that now is missing?
They rolled up their